Hello everyone, welcome to this video, the pre-fight analysis video between Eddie Alvarez and Conor McGregor. This upcoming super fight at Madison Square Garden. In this video, I'm answering your most popular comments and questions that you guys sent in. I'm answering the most popular, the most upvoted, the most liked questions on YouTube and our MMA that you guys sent me in. Thank you very much for all of you sent in your questions. Don't forget that for this fight, we're doing a Mystic Reebok challenge. So if you give me your predictions underneath this video, I also posted another video where you can post your predictions. So if you already posted your predictions, great. If not, post your predictions underneath this video. Make sure to hashtag it Mystic Reebok. Let me know who you think is going to win, Eddie Alvarez or Conor McGregor. Let me know what round. Let me know how you think they're going to win. And if you accurately predict the fight, or you get, you're one of the closest guys to accurately predict the fight, we will be sending you one of three prizes. One of the prizes is a variety pack of Quest Nutrition bars. Okay, delicious Quest Nutrition bars, one of our channel sponsors, and also we have a Reebok fight kit to give away. Okay, so a Reebok bag full of Reebok goodies, shirts, shorts, all sorts of great stuff. Okay, it's beautiful gear you're going to be getting. Just put in your Mystic Reebok prediction. Give us your best Mystic Reebok prediction. And the third prize we have is the Tim Tam massager, the most powerful handheld massager. If you are an athlete, you lift weights, you run, you do jiu-jitsu, you wrestle, you box, whatever it is, it's like it's like a power tool for your muscle. Okay, it's just unreal, unbelievably powerful handheld massager. We are going to be giving away at Tim Tam for this fight. If you have never tried this thing, believe me, you want one. I've never tried the Tim Tam with anybody who didn't want one. As soon as they feel it, they're like, wow, that thing's unbelievable. It's a super powerful handheld massager. So we're giving away one. Put in your Mystic Reebok predictions and get a chance to win one of those three prizes. All right, guys. So now we are going to jump in right away, and I'm going to start answering your questions. First question is from Matt R2752. Is this too short of a turnaround after Conor's 5-round war with Nate? Should he have taken more time to recover, or will this short amount of time in between fights keep him in good shape? I personally think it's too quick of a turnaround, because his last fight against Nate, he showed he had a lot of things to fix still. Yes, he rebounded in round 3, and we all remember in their first fight in round 2, he completely faded, and the same kind of thing happened in their second fight. If you guys remember, in round 2 he started to fade, but he found the second win and came back. So there was some improvement, but his cardio is still not bulletproof. His composure is still not bulletproof. His 5-round ability to fight 5 rounds, for me, I still think needs a lot of work. It needs to be addressed. There are problems to be addressed. And I don't think he has the time to address them in this fight, because he only had probably like 8 weeks, 10 weeks to prepare, I think. If you count the time he took off, probably, I'm sure he took some time off. When he got back in the gym, he probably didn't have that much time. He's not gonna have months, he's not gonna have 6-7 months like he had between the first and second Nate Diaz fight. I think it was 8 or 9 months. But it is a quick turnaround. Is he gonna fix all those errors, all those problems he had in the second Diaz fight? No, he won't have time. So expect his abilities to look pretty much the same, his cardiovascular abilities. Now, one thing that bears really importantly to note, in the first Diaz fight and the second Diaz fight, he had the same dip of energy near the same period of time. Like, we all remember the first Diaz fight, in midway past round number 2, at the midway mark, he dipped. His energy dipped. He got caught with that 1-2 right after, and it was just downhill from there. In their second fight, I thought I was watching the first fight all over again. McGregor had a very good performance in round 1. Round 1 for McGregor was a picnic. I mean, it was a walk in the park. He was picking Nate apart. He was too fast for Nate. Nate couldn't find him with his shots. He was landing everything better than he did in the first fight. Even better. But then in round 2, near the midway mark, again there was a dip. And you could argue that Nate won that round. I don't think he won that round, because he got knocked down twice. If he didn't get knocked down twice, I would have gave that round to Nate and the fight to Nate. But he got knocked down twice, badly. But McGregor, when you knock a guy down twice, and the pace of the round 2 was not that high. It was high, but it wasn't like mind-bogglingly high. It wasn't Dos Anjos versus Alvarez high. And he dipped. His energy dipped right away. And then he started to lose round 2. I mean, if you knock a guy down twice, you have total control of him. You're faster than him. You see him coming a mile away. And then you get tied up and you get fatigued and you get hit over and over, and you start to dip. It was very surprising to me. Very, very surprising that his cardiovascular issue is still there. I think in round three he had more composure. He stayed calm and he weathered the round three because he lost round three. He stayed cool. He was more mentally calm than in the first fight, but his cardiovascular issue still seems to be a problem, a heavy problem. And Eddie Alvarez knows this. I mean, he's been making comments about it. I think he really heavily believes that Conor's an 8-minute fighter. He's been saying in his last two fights, he showed that at the 8-minute mark there's a dip in energy. Now, why that is, that's one hell of a that's a serious puzzle. I think that the McGregor camp needs to solve, definitely. So I think it's too short of a period to solve that problem. Next question here. This is from, let me pull it up. This one is from Tonic Swine. Do you think Conor will be able to consistently stop Eddie's takedowns? How much will the size difference factor into the takedowns? Now, I don't think he's going to be able to stop all Eddie's takedowns. The only way he could stop all of Eddie's takedowns is if he knocks Eddie out early. If he knocks Eddie out early, he will stop the takedowns, obviously. Other than that, I see Eddie getting the takedown. Now, we have to remember, Eddie has taken down, in the UFC, he's taken down Pettis repeatedly. He took down Gilbert Melendez several times. Gilbert Melendez is a very good wrestler. He's a very accomplished wrestler. And so is Pettis, a very good wrestler. He took down, partially in round one, he took down Dos Anjos. You guys remember he shot in on Dos Anjos, got Dos Anjos down on his hips, but Dos Anjos had a nice tight front headlock and bridged him over and got to a front headlock position on top. It was a very nice penetration shot. It was a good double leg attempt, solid double leg attempt. If he shoots like that on McGregor, I think if he could take down, Dos Anjos is extremely hard to take down. He's a very, very good wrestler. He's a very, very seasoned and experienced wrestler. You know, he fought one of my fighters, Mark Bocek, back in the day. He fought Mark Bocek, and Mark Bocek is a very, very seasoned wrestler, and he had a tremendous amount of trouble taking Dos Anjos down. Dos Anjos is very, very seasoned, very, very seasoned. So I think Eddie Alvarez's wrestling game is on another level than Conor McGregor's, another level than Nate Diaz's wrestling. I mean, this is just another level, and Diaz took him down even in the second fight. Now, Diaz got stuffed all the way up to the fifth round, and Conor showed some improvement in his takedown defense. I found he looked better. His takedown defense looked much better. However, he's not one of those guys that's impossible to take down. He's not one of those guys who's like, his takedown defense is a problem. You know, it's tough. He's a tough takedown to get. But Eddie Alvarez has taken down way more seasoned wrestlers. So I expect Eddie to score a takedown. If he doesn't get knocked out, he'll score several takedowns, in my opinion. And especially in the later rounds. Now, let's not forget, he also took down Pettis in round 3 after getting hit hard by Pettis in round 2. He got hit hard with some body kicks. He got hit hard with some shots. And he kept fighting till the end. He kept pushing it to the end, and he took him down in round 3. So it shows to me that even when Eddie's tired or hurt, he could still get the takedown. And, Nate Diaz doesn't have that double leg threat. You know, Nate Diaz takedowns are more clinch takedowns, trip takedowns, opportunity takedowns where he catches your kick kind of thing. He's not a good wrestler that shoots the legs. You know, he's not a level change guy and penetrating the legs. So, and Eddie Alvarez is, so it's a whole different animal we're dealing with. It's a whole other takedown style, and I think it's gonna work. It's gonna work against Conor McGregor. So my answer to you is, I think if Eddie doesn't get knocked out early, he will take down McGregor, and he'll have numerous takedowns. Heisenberg 5 ever. Conor McGregor doesn't seem that explosive, but he has tremendous knockout power. What is it about the way he punches that he puts guys to sleep? Well, I think Conor hits hard, but I think his secret to his knockout power is his timing. You know, and he says timing beats speed. He's absolutely right, and his accuracy. His accuracy is really what it's all about. You know, if you notice that when he punches people, he often hits them right on the chin. You know, a lot of people hit the jaw. The jaw is not the end of the lever. The end of the lever is right here. So if you hit the guy right here at the end of the lever, you accelerate the movement of the head far more than if you hit him at the jaw. And that's that whipping action of the head is what shakes the brain, slams the brain on the side of the wall, and that's what knocks people out. But If you hit people on the jaw, you can absolutely knock them out. You have to force it. You have to drive through. You have less leverage. But Conor has very, very accurate punches. He hits people right on the chin. Sometimes on the jaw, of course. His accuracy is not perfect, but it's higher than most punchers. And that's why he gets more knockouts. That's my opinion. I also think he also hits hard. He also hits hard because you've seen him knock people out without hitting the chin. He's hit people, when he hit Poirier, like kind of here. That's also kind of the end of the lever, but it's not a great lever. And still he knocks people out. So we've seen him hit people on the chin, knock them out, and we've seen him. When he hit Aldo right almost perfectly at the end. It was beautiful. It was right like a millimeter more or less. It was still on the right button. Beautiful shot. And his accuracy is it's amazing. So this is his biggest path to victory, I believe. His biggest path to victory, because sometimes Eddie Alvarez is a little bit sloppy. He's a little more, he gets more heart than he kind of forgets his boxing skill a little bit because he gets too passionate in the fight. He's a passionate fighter. He's a very technical boxer. He's an extremely technical boxer, but sometimes you see him brawl because I think that's more of a personality thing, So he has to be careful, because when you're fighting an accurate puncher like that, you're giving him a bigger window to be accurate. So my answer to you is why he gets so many knockouts. He's supremely accurate. Andrew Rover, do you think Conor will bring back his Taekwondo style kicks back for this fight? And if so, will it be effective? I don't think he's going to use too much Taekwondo style kicks. Now, of course, he could always land a spinning hook kick on the jaw and knock anybody out. That's just a powerful kick. We've seen Vitor do it to Luke Rockhold. We've seen Edson Barboza do it. That's a powerful kick. A wheel kick to the chin will knock out anybody. But if he does those kind of spinning kicks, he has a big chance of getting taken down. Big chance. Because those kicks, number one, they take a lot of power. Those spinning kicks, those jumping kicks, they're plyometrics. You're jumping off the ground. Does he really want to waste his legs? Does he really want to tire out his legs? And when you jump like that, a double leg shot will take you down to the ground. Like you guys remember when he fought Chad Mendes, he went up to Chad Mendes and did a scissor knee. In the first 5 seconds of the fight, 3 seconds into the fight versus Chad Mendes, he was on the ground. Why? He exploded up in the air with a knee. He's fighting a shorter fighter. It makes sense. And he got taken down. Now, does he want to take that risk with an Eddie Alvarez? Because if you get taken down by Chad Mendes, Conor's bigger than Chad Mendes. He's stronger. He's more physical. He can work his way back up to his feet. But if he gets taken down easily by Eddie Alvarez, that's a recipe for disaster, because he's much bigger than Chad Mendes. He's got a lot more weight on top of, he'll have a lot more weight on top of Conor. So I don't think he's going to play high-risk stuff like that. I don't think so. And he learned, I think, after the first Diaz fight. Because in the first Diaz fight, he was throwing those kicks. And he realized those cost a lot of energy. And I think he's learned his lesson not to waste too much energy. This is a 5-round fight, so it could happen. He could try it, but high risk, low percentage for success. Still possible, still very possible, but I think high risk, low chance of success. Okay, guys, I'm gonna keep answering these questions, but I want a little note. The number one most upvoted question I got, the most number one comment was, where are my 250 push-ups? I almost forgot. I wanted to mention at the beginning of this video, but I forgot, so I'm not going to reshoot this. I will be posting my 250 push-ups at the tail end of one of my future videos on this channel. Okay, so you guys are going to have a video coming out soon. I don't know which one, and at the end of that video, I will have the 250 push-ups for you guys so you can see them done. I paid the debt I owe GSP. I lost a bet against GSP. The only reason I haven't done it yet is because I have a case of bronchitis. Okay, I got really sick. I haven't been filming as much. I haven't been filming at all. So all of you who are asking me where are the videos, they will be coming up soon. I'm just at the tail end of this illness here. I fell down. I fell ill. Got the flu. Got bronchitis. It's been really difficult for me. So I'm not in the gym filming. I hope to start filming again this week. And if you guys see I'm a little pale or whatnot, it's because I've been sick. I'm revived. I'm coming back slowly. Getting healthier, and the 250 push-ups, I hope to do them next week. So I will film a video, put the 250 push-ups at the tail end. You guys can enjoy them. Thank you for sending me all your comments and questions, reminding me about the 250 push-ups. They will be done, I promise, just as soon as I get over this bronchitis stuff, and I will get them to you. Okay, next question. This one's from Mighty J. Do you think this is going to be Eddie Alvarez, Pettis all over again? That's a very good question. from all of Eddie Alvarez's opponents, the most similar to McGregor, not identical, but the most similar to McGregor was Pettis, because Pettis is a southpaw, or he stood southpaw with Eddie, and Pettis is very fast on the outside like McGregor, and Pettis has those Taekwondo kicks as well, and Pettis has that laser type accuracy, very accurate striker. Pettis, very busy with his very explosive like Conor McGregor. They have a lot of similarities, many differences as well, of course, but. I would say Pettis is more of a kicker. I would say Conor is more of a puncher, even though they both have great punches and kicks, etc. And of course, Conor McGregor has that deadly left. Anthony Pettis has the deadly left body kick that he caught Donald Cerrone with, that he hurt Benson Henderson with. He's got that powerful left kick to the liver that he likes to do as a southpaw. Conor McGregor has that powerful left hand that we all know so well, that we saw him hit Jose Aldo with, we saw him hit Chad Mendes with. I mean, we all know he's got the touch of death in his left hand. Even though he wasn't able to knock out Diaz, we saw him punish Diaz with it. We saw him hurt Diaz really, really badly with that shot. It's a deadly shot. But they're very similar in their ability to gauge distance and be explosive. So I really like this question. I think it's a great question. Will it be Eddie Alvarez, Pettis all over again? Very possibly. Very possibly. But I think Pettis is harder to take down. And I think Pettis has never shown an energy dip, okay? That Conor McGregor dip at 8 minutes in. I don't know what that is. I really don't know what that is. I think it's partly mental because he's had so many one-round wins. Think about it. 90% of his fights, he's had maybe probably 20 fights in his career, roughly, maybe 20, 24, 25 fights. And I think only once he's been the distance. In featherweight. I think he only against Max Holloway, if I remember correctly. And he did a great fight, and he dominated every round, and he tore his ACL, I believe, and he still dominated. I mean, that was a beautiful fight. No dip, everything was great. All the other fights, I think, were one-round KOs. And then he gets to Nate Diaz, and he has a 2-round fight where his energy just dipped, and then a 5-rounder. Now, he went back to start doing conditioning, rowing, running, cycling, and he was able to do 5 rounds. Now, it was his first time doing 5 rounds. And it was also, I think, only his second time finishing 3. And if you remember, at the end of the 3rd round, he was zapped. Round 1, he looked great against Diaz. Round 2, he had that dip. He did really good in round 2, then dipped. And at the end of round 2, he was looking really bad. And then round 3, he lost to Diaz. Round 3 wasn't so hot, if I remember. Yeah, it was round 3 that wasn't so hot. And Diaz started to break him and walk him down, etc. And if he does that with Eddie Alvarez, it's going to look worse than what happened to Pettis. I mean, Pettis and Alvarez, I thought it was a very, very close fight. 1 to Alvarez, round 2 to Pettis, round 3 was tight. You know, the control goes to Eddie, but there was some nice strikes from Pettis in round 3 as well. You know, and that smothering wrestling of Eddie Alvarez, I think, will be too much for Conor. It'll be too much for Conor. If it looks like that, if it starts to go like Pettis versus Alvarez, he'll break Conor way earlier than he would break Pettis if it was a 5-round fight. Pettis doesn't have that Conor McGregor dip in round 2. Will that dip happen again? I don't know. It's a mystery. It's a mystery to me that right around the 8-minute mark, boom, there's that dip. If it wasn't for the Max Holloway fight, I would think, that's the only time he went more than 8 minutes and there was no dip. He has 1 fight in his career where he went past. I mean, he has 2 fights in his career where at the 8-minute mark there's a dip. All the other fights are 1-round KOs. So it's a big question mark. We don't know. But I would have to venture and say that because the Diaz fight was so recent, there'll still be that dip. That's your body's energy system. That's just how your body's made up. It takes time to change something like that. So would it look like it all over again? If this is a fence war, if they're up against the fence, I think Alvarez will get the takedown more frequently. Okay, this one's from Chris G515. How would you evaluate Eddie's wrestling? What would Conor have to do to stop the strategy employed on Pettis with constant pressure against the cage? I don't think he has the wrestling experience. If you remember against Diaz 2, he spent a lot of time on the cage. I mean, every time they clinched, Nate was able to, and in the first fight as well, he pushed him up against the cage. I mean, Conor McGregor at 145 is never up against the cage. At 155, 170, he's up against the cage all the time. all the time. And Nate was significantly bigger. I'll give him that. Nate was significantly bigger than Conor. You know, look at that. Look at their size difference in the octagon. Nate was bigger, and Nate muscled him, and Nate pushed him up against the fence, and they fought well. I mean, the clinching was tight. There was some back and forth. There was some very nice elbows from McGregor, some nice punching from Nate, some good knees. But Eddie's fence work is another pace. It's another pace. It's another level of smothering and pressure and striking and it's just another level. It's just another level. It's not particular techniques. It's just another level of speed and power and experience. And I think if it's a fence war, Eddie Alvarez is gonna come out on top. He's gonna come out on top, and he'll grind them out every single round they're up against the fence. Territo Morve. How underrated, or I guess overrated, do you think Conor McGregor's counter wrestling and BJJ is? I think Conor's jiu-jitsu is good. I think everybody's really beating him up on that because he lost one time to a choke. His jiu-jitsu is good. His wrestling has improved. His counter wrestling has improved. I felt that in the Diaz fight, the second Diaz fight, his takedown defense looked a lot better. He looked more solid. He looked more calm defending the double legs. Diaz had some nice locked doubles. He locked his arms around the legs. Usually that's a takedown. McGregor got out. He got out. And he only got caught with a foot sweep. So his leg defense looked a lot better. I think he's positionally weaker. I think it's a positional weakness problem. So what happens is, I've talked about this before. Some guys are really good when they're in your guard. You know, they do well. When you're in their guard, they do well. But when you mount them or take their back or you take side control on them, they fall apart. Why? They're positionally weak. There's certain positions where they're weak. And if you guys remember the Diaz fight, when Diaz took his back or mounted him first, Conor looked positionally weak. So his jiu-jitsu is good, but his mount defense is very weak. His back defense looked very weak because his hands were not doing what they're supposed to do. And his legs in the takedown, in the mount defense and back defense were not doing what they're supposed to do. They look inactive. Now, why that is, in my opinion, I've seen it before. I mean, I have a lot of experience with this. When guys come in the gym and they see a superstar, they don't want to put that superstar in a bad position. So if they sweep him, they'll release him. If they take his back, they'll kind of let him out. So that superstar never gets to work in a bad position. You know, this is a very common scenario. Why? Because if you go in McGregor's gym and you grab his neck and you choke him out in front of everybody, everybody's gonna be like, "Hey, what are you doing? That's our hero. That's our guy. You don't do that to Conor. You know, you don't do that to the guy who built his house." So there's a respect thing. You know, it's like kind of like, you know, like when you roll with your trainer. You know, one day you're getting better than him, you don't leg lock him or knock him out or choke him out in front of the rest of the crew. No, you let him go. He's your trainer. He raised you. It's kind of that mentality a bit, and I've seen it, and I tried to get away from that as in practice. When I was training George, I would always tell people to go for it. I would tell people we would start in bad situations and we would work our way out. And when you saw Condit get a nice head kick on George, knocked him down, partially mounted him, George did everything he had to do to escape, and he's been in that position before, and I was very confident he would make his way out. He's very good at escaping the bottom position. Every time he was in a bad situation in fights, which was not very often, he is trained to get out of them. Okay, so I think that was the major issue. He swept Diaz when he got taken out. Remember, he did that nice Ashigarami sweep when he wasn't Nate Diaz's guard on top. He was beautifully well balanced, positioned, everything was fine. And Diaz has a very good guard. Everything was great. He fell apart when he got mounted and when he got his back taken. So there's a positional weakness. His jiu-jitsu game is good. He just needs to go, give people his back, encourage them to actually finish for real, and work out the problems. That's all it is. And I think Eddie Alvarez, if he gets him in the mount, if Eddie Alvarez mounts Conor or takes Conor's back, we're going to see the same thing. We're going to see positional weakness. But if it's McGregor's in the guard or if McGregor is on top, he'll do fine. If he's not in a bad position. But if he's in a bad position, expect it to go south real quick. That's just how I see it, and that's just my opinion. Flim Flam Bambuzi. If Alvarez was a TriStar athlete, would you advise him to follow the same game plan he used against Pettis? Yes, I think that's a great game plan. Yeah, it's a great game plan. Go for it. When you're southpaw versus righty, your lead legs are very close to one another. So I would tell him, go to single to double. You know, when he fought Dos Anjos. I'm sorry, guys. When he fought Dos Anjos, he shot a straight double, and Dos Anjos was a southpaw. And he got in deep and he finished that. He brought Dos Anjos down partially to the ground and he got a partial takedown. But I think when you shoot on southpaw, you should go single to double. And in the McGregor case, I would go single, push him up to the fence, double, instead of a straight double. Because when you go straight double, you have to shoot a little further on the southpaw, depending which side you like to put your head. So there are ways to do straight doubles on southpaws, absolutely. But I find Conor's a little bit far out. You know, he's a little bit further distance than a Dos Anjos. Dos Anjos' hands are more traditional Muay Thai position, whereas Conor has that more karate style, Taekwondo style hand position, which allows him to be a little bit further away, a few inches further away than he normally would if he's in a Muay Thai stance. So to breach that distance, I like single to double, and that's what I would encourage him to do. Get the single, push him up to the fence, get your double off the fence. It's easier than shooting a straight double. Now, if you shoot a straight double and McGregor steps back, he has a chance to land that left hand. That's why I like the single, because the single takes away that left hand. You grab that leg, and if he throws that left hand and you have the leg, it's very hard for him. You just kind of smother the angle of the shot. So I like single to double, especially on southpaws. The leg is so close to you. This one is from Demarsh03. Will McGregor go back to the mentality he had before fighting Diaz, i.e. the explosive power looking to knock out a guy within the first round, or will he be more calculated like he was in his last fight? Maybe looking to conserve his energy to go deep in the fight and win the majority of the rounds. I think you'd be wise to try to knock out Eddie in the first round. Don't try to pace yourself with Eddie. Now, if you guys remember the Diaz fight, Diaz has a high pace. He starts slow and then he finishes strong. But the leg kicks of Conor killed all that. If you remember, he lost round 3. Conor loses round 3. Round 4, it looked like Conor was done. It looked like Diaz is ramping it up now and it's done. He started to go back to kicking that leg of Diaz. He kicked Diaz's leg and Diaz started to back away, which gave Conor a lot of breathing room. Now, if Conor hadn't punished that leg in round 1 and 2, you know, what he did in round 1 and 2, he saved him in round 4. Because when he started kicking that leg again, that was money in the bank from round 1 and 2. He was adding on to that damage. You saw Diaz back off. And I was thinking, oh, he's backing off. Conor's recovering. And Conor recovered in round 2. Even though they worked really hard in round 4, he had a minute break, and then he had the first, I would say, minute of round 4 to relax and rest, and he kept punishing that leg, and it backed Diaz off. So he got a good chance to recover. His recovery was better. But can he do that with an Eddie Alvarez? I don't think so. Now, we've seen Eddie Alvarez get punished by leg kicks when he fought Cowboy. And that's a great comparative. Cowboy punished his leg kick, and he hurt him, and then Eddie was severely hurt to the leg, wobbling, had to fall down, and then Donald got on top. Does Conor have the leg kicking ability of Donald? Donald Cerrone? I don't believe even close. I think Donald Cerrone leg kicks are far more advanced, far more punishing. Conor has great kicking, but not the same kind of kicking as a Thai guy. So if he kicks Eddie Alvarez, I think Eddie Alvarez will get in the legs and take him down. It's just too high of a risk. Whereas Nate was always weak in terms of responding to kicks. Okay, that was always his kryptonite. He's a great fighter. He has many great attributes, but his kryptonite is always leg kicks. And several fighters have showed that. You know, when he fought Rory, he had problems with leg kicks. When he fought Dos Anjos, he had problems with leg kicks. When he fought McGregor, he had problems with leg kicks. Eddie is not that open for the leg kicks because he's very good at countering and he's very good at getting in the legs, shooting on you if you kick him. I don't think he's gonna be able to slow down the pace against an Eddie Alvarez. It's gonna be a hard, punishing fight in rounds 3, 4, and 5. If they go around 3, 4, and 5, the pace will be high, and it'll be Eddie pushing the pace, and I think it'll be a problem for McGregor. McGregor needs to win this in round 1 and early in round 2. I don't really see Conor winning a decision. It would surprise me. It's not impossible, of course. You know, he's a very talented fighter, but I would be surprised. I think if he does win this fight, it's how he's always won his big fights, early with KO. So you're right. He needs to go back to that. Forget about pacing. It's do or die, round 1 or 2. You go out. You either become 2 division champion in rounds 1 and 2, or you're gonna go down. It's all happening for McGregor in round 1 and 2. That's where his talent is. That's what brought him to the top. That's what made him famous. That's what made him successful. Rounds 1 and 2, he's super dangerous. Later on, it's going to be an Eddie Alvarez fight. So I think he needs to avoid pacing himself. A Great Human. This one is from A Great Human. Do you agree with Eddie's assessment that Conor only has 8 minutes of fight in him and fades when he realizes adversity in a fight? Mendez and Diaz too prove this to be false in my opinion. Secondly, if you are Mark Henry and had only 3 words of advice to give Eddie, what would they be? Like I said, there was that dip. I don't think that's going away. I think there'll be a dip if it's a strong, hard, grinding fight early on, especially. Did Mendez prove and the Diaz 2 fight prove that that dip doesn't exist? No way. Look at Diaz 2. It showed it, he dipped again. He dipped again. Did you guys rewatch that fight? It looks exactly like fight number 1, except with the exception that he stayed composed and he found his error in round 4 and came back. Yes, absolutely. But it wasn't a mind. It wasn't. How can I put it to you this way? If Conor wasn't as popular as he was, if he wasn't backed by all his fans at home, if he didn't have a whole country behind him, would you say, if he was just a regular Joe, we're just looking at his performances, forget about all his charisma, forget about the fact that he has a whole country behind him, etc. Forget the fact that he's Mr. Popular. If it was just his performance, would you say that guy deserves a title shot? He just beat Nate Diaz. I forget his rank right now. Would you say that guy deserves a title shot? No, you probably wouldn't. You'd say, look, he's a good fighter. He won, but he's got things to work on. Now, is that dip going to happen again? I think so. I just think it's going to happen again. It's happened twice in a row. And who knows what the reason is. He looked better. He looked like it wasn't as bad, but the problem isn't solved. Okay? First fight when he fought Diaz, he discovered he has this dip. He tried to solve it. He looked better. There was improvement. Yes, absolutely. But there still was the dip. What I'm saying is the problem is still there. They've improved it, but the problem is still there. If I had 3 words for him, I would tell him wrestle, wrestle, wrestle. Just wrestle, wrestle, wrestle. Don't give this guy a chance to put one on your chin. Conor McGregor is supremely accurate. He has great knowledge of distance, and he's got great reflexes. He sees people coming. He's got belief in his left hand. He's good at setting it up. He's got a lot of great skills that set up that left hand. He's a very dangerous fighter. Get past the 8-minute mark. Wrestle, wrestle, wrestle. Use your strikes to get to the legs. Don't try to box with him early. Why? Because even if Eddie beats him in boxing, let's say he boxes him and he wins. Why take that risk? Why take that risk? McGregor's never beat anybody with wrestling. He's beat a lot of people with striking, but never with wrestling. Why don't you just... you could argue, okay, he beat Max Holloway with wrestling. He did take Max Holloway down, okay. He hasn't won a lot with wrestling, okay. His bread and butter, Conor McGregor's bread and butter has always been the striking. Why give him a chance? Just my opinion. Even if you can beat him in striking, why give him a chance? Take him where he's weakest. Nathan Fenner, do you think that Eddie's wild style of fighting will leave him open to an early left-hand knockout for Conor? I believe it will, and I think Conor will win by first-round knockout with a notorious straight left. Thank you. Nathan Fenner, I would say that that's a possibility. We've seen Eddie Alvarez is a great boxer. He's a very skilled boxer. He has that darting right hand. He has beautiful lateral movement, head movement. He's phenomenal. But we've also seen him brawl. We've also seen him brawl. Sometimes he takes a hit on the chin and he just puts his skills on the side and he just digs deep. That's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing and a bad thing because he's a fighter. And one thing I love about Eddie Alvarez is he's been in so many big fights, and even when they go down, he always, even when he gets hurt, or even when the fight is not going well. A great example of this is when he fought Gilbert Melendez. This is a great fight. If you guys didn't see this fight, watch this fight. First of all, it happened in Mexico City. Okay, so it happened at altitude. It happened at high altitude. He fights and he doesn't have a good round 1 at all. He gets hit with a hard elbow. Gilbert Melendez hits him with a hard elbow. If you guys remember, and he hurt, and I think he probably broke Eddie's nose. And at the end of the round, after Eddie lost that round, he got hit with the jab, he got hit with the elbow, he lost that round. After the round 1, he blows his nose. He just kind of expels the blood out of his nose, and his eye pops out. He's literally right in front of the camera. His eye just, not pops out, it swells immediately. So his eye was fine. It was kind of, a little bit bruised up, but his nose was tagged good. But as soon as he blew his nose, pop, his eye popped out, and then he was blinded in one eye. Now, when you're blind in one eye, you have no depth perception, right? It's very hard to see. And now he's blinded, and he's in a horrible position. He's lost round 1, and round 2 is looking like it's going to be worse because now he has only one eye. His nose is popped, and his eyes shut. What does he do? He comes back and he wins the fight at altitude. And if you guys remember, Gilbert Melendez got popped for steroids right after that fight. Right after that fight, he got popped for steroids. So he's fighting a guy on steroids on top of it. And now he has to get the takedown because striking, he just can't see anything. And he gets the takedowns. I mean, the odds were stacked against him. And he rose up. He didn't panic. He fought to the end. He fought hard. Doesn't matter how tough the fight gets. He's a true fighter. He doesn't give up. He doesn't get discouraged. He's gonna go out in his He's gonna go out on his shield if he has to. That's what I love about him. Now, does Conor have that? That digging deep, no matter what. We've seen it in the past when he fought Diaz. He got hurt. He kind of crumbled. The second fight, he got hurt. He didn't crumble. He showed more heart. He showed more ability to face adversity. Yes, but nowhere near the level of Eddie Alvarez. I think Eddie Alvarez's heart is far stronger. It's far more. His will to win is just another level of will to win. You got to think about how many great fights this guy's been in. Eddie Alvarez has been in many great fights. He's fought many big names. He's been in great pressure. And there are hard fights. Now, you could say McGregor's been in big fights. But some of the fights they're 2-rounders, easy rounders. I mean, when he fought Aldo, that was a huge fight. That was going to be, in my opinion, a really hard fight. He knocked him out in 13 seconds. He doesn't have the hours of pain and suffering in the cage that Eddie has. So Eddie, for him, pain and suffering is just a regular day. For Conor, it's going to be something. If it goes into a dogfight, if it turns into a dogfight, Eddie Alvarez is the bigger dog. That's my opinion to you. But yes, the bad side of that is sometimes Eddie gets a little bit sloppy. He gets a little bit sloppy, and I think that's just the good and bad side of being a fighter. You know, if you're a fighter inside, sometimes you forget your technique. But he's got phenomenal technique. He just has to be reminded to stay crisp. This one is from I got dropped 3 times by a featherweight. What is Eddie's best weapon and then Conor McGregor's best weapon? And if you were coaching Conor, what would be your game plan? And a second question, what do you think of Eddie's chin? Eddie's got a great chin. He's proved it many times. He's only been knocked out once in his career, a TKO, I should say. He's fought a lot of guys with power. Has Eddie Alvarez fought a lot of guys with power? Yes. Yes, he has. He fought Patricky Pitbull. Now, if you guys don't know Patricky Pitbull, he's a very exciting fighter from Bellator. He's got tremendous, tremendous power. He's knocked out tons of people. He fought Eddie Alvarez. He tagged Eddie Alvarez a little bit here and there. But Eddie Alvarez ended up knocking him out with a beautiful head kick. Okay, so, I mean, Eddie has fought hard punchers. He fought Dos Anjos. Now, is Dos Anjos a hard hitter? Absolutely. Dos Anjos is a devastating striker. You guys saw him knock out Benson Henderson. You guys saw him hurt Pettis with a straight left. I believe he broke Pettis' orbital bone. We saw what he did to Donald Cerrone. And Eddie's been hit by Donald Cerrone. Don't forget, Donald Cerrone's knocking out welterweights. He hit Eddie Alvarez, and Eddie Alvarez took it. So if you're asking me if Eddie Alvarez has a great chin, he absolutely has an incredible chin. Got a killer chin. Eddie Alvarez's chin is steel. However, McGregor's also great at breaking steel chins. We saw what he did to Aldo. We saw what he did to Poirier. Poirier can take a shot. We saw what happened there. I mean, he has, it's like the irresistible force versus the immovable object. Who knows what's going to happen? You got to see it. I mean, can Eddie get knocked out? Absolutely, because he's getting hit possibly by one of the hardest left hands in the history of the sport. Okay, you know, I think we got the H-bomb. You know, we got a couple of we got. I don't want to say it's necessarily the greatest, but McGregor's up there with those one-shot knockout guys. No question about it. One shot, one knockout. He's up there. At featherweight, it's deadly. At lightweight, it remains to be seen. You know, he dropped Nate. Nate's chin and Eddie Alvarez's chin, I gotta say, is pretty even. They've both been TKO'd once in their career. They've both been hit by the same guys really, really hard, and they survived it. So if that's a good indicator, I could see Eddie getting knocked down, but maybe not knocked out. It could happen, but Eddie Alvarez has got a great chin. So what does Conor McGregor's deadly left hand look like against an Eddie Alvarez chin? The best comparison I think we have is the Nate Diaz chin. You know, he tagged it several times, got dropped, but didn't knock him out. Still remains to be seen. You know, it's not exact science here. You know, it's hard to tell. Your other question was, what's McGregor's best weapon? Obviously, it's his left hand. What would the game plan be? I would tell Conor to get it done in round 1 and 2. Don't let him push you against the fence because he'll zap your power away. and get it done round number 1 and number 2. There is no round 3 for us. It's round 1 and 2 and get it done. That's the best chances in my opinion. Joe Camel, do you think that Eddie will be able to absorb that left hand or shots, considering he is the bigger and heavier than Conor? I just answered that question. So thank you for your question. Great question. I really liked an upvoted question. Thank you. I just answered it, so I'm gonna move on. This one's from Mick Harambe. Will KO Edward the broke bum in 1? Yeah. What a waste of time. Laugh my ass off. Edward will be KO'd with the first punch. This was a very popular comment. I'm sure a lot of McGregor fans came and upvoted this comment. You guys all believe, one thing about the McGregor fans, they all think he's gonna be KO'd on round 1. You all don't believe he has a KO power in round 3, 4, and 5. I think we all can agree on that. He hasn't seemed to have that deadly left in the later rounds. So I think the only question we really have to answer is, will he get the KO early? It seems to be, even the McGregor fans seem to believe that that's the only way he can win. Fighting, there are so many ways to win. You can win by a guillotine, you can win by a head kick, etc. Everybody thinks it's a left hand KO. All the McGregor fans that are messaging me, they're like, Eddie's going to get knocked out left hand early. It seems that even the McGregor fans only believe there's one way to win. I think there are more ways to win, but of course, history's shown that left hand is the ticket. 6.4 music. McGregor 4 minutes in the first round, left uppercut. Mark my words, Firas. Exactly what I was just saying. All you McGregor fans, always sending me the same message. This was a very highly upvoted comment in question. Comment, I should say. All the McGregor fans, you only believe in Conor's left. A lot of people write me, hey coach, you're trying to make McGregor sound like he's a one-trick pony. I'm not. I think he has a lot of great talents. I think, he's got beautiful kicks. He's got good range. I think he's got so much accuracy. He's got so many great things. But it's the Conor McGregor fans that all think it's the left hand. All of you keep messaging me. The left hand, coach. He's going to win the left hand. I'm just echoing what you guys are telling me. And for sure, I mean, it's not crazy because all his great wins have come from that left hand. I think all his wins, I should say almost all his wins come from the left hand. Maybe this time around he gets a sub. Maybe this time around he takes Eddie Alvarez down, holds him down, and side controls him for 5 rounds. Maybe he does that. I don't think so, but I don't think the McGregor fans think that either. So is McGregor a one-trick pony? Is he just blessed with powerful left and accuracy, and that's all it is? Well, accuracy is a talent, and hitting that chin on the button is an art that you can cultivate for the rest of your life. It's a great style. If you were an archer, and you were the most accurate archer in the world, it's not saying you're a one-trick pony. It takes a lifetime to master hitting somebody right on the chin. It's an art itself. You don't have to be able to do everything in martial arts. Some people just focus on one thing that can beat everybody. And I think McGregor has a lifetime of training that left hand to be accurate. And it's just a question of mastery. He's mastered the art of throwing the cross right on the button. And in every scenario, if you saw every time Nate Diaz came in, whether Nate threw a hook or a jab or a cross or what, he was always setting up those left-hand counters, and that takes a lifetime of mastery. It's not about being a one-trick pony. It's about mastering a tool that you can use against everyone. Elite PT. Eddie Alvarez equals greatest threat to Conor McGregor to date. I would agree with that. And I would also agree that Jose Aldo is arguably the greatest threat as well, because he's such a decorated champion, and McGregor had to do that weight cut. Now, we all know how that fight ended, but that fight could have went very differently. And if they fought again, I'll pick Jose Aldo again. I picked Jose Aldo the first time, and I'll pick Jose Aldo the second time. I'll tell you why. Jose Aldo's got great takedowns, and I think he just completely, he got beat 100%. Conor won that fight. He was the better man that night. He fell prey to the left hand. He telegraphed, and Conor punished him for it. There was no fluke. But I think with the new mindset, Aldo will go in there respecting McGregor, not telegraphing, being extremely cautious, and finding a way to win. I think he would find a way to win. However, I'm not saying it would be a lock. I would give it 51% Aldo. No, I don't want to say 55% Aldo. I was 55-45. That's what I would give it. I think Aldo would squeeze it out. I think he would win. It would be a hard fight. However, I think Eddie Alvarez has a greater chance because of the wrestling. Now, Eddie Alvarez ain't crazy. I think he's been in too many dangerous fights to play with fire. And I think he's going to take McGregor down early. And even if he doesn't, he's going to grind them out against the cage. He's going to grind them out against the cage, and he's going to win this fight. That's my opinion. If you guys are asking me what my prediction for this fight is, what I pick is, I'm picking Eddie Alvarez. I think he wins. I think he wins. I think he gets past round 1 and 2. Even if he gets hurt, I think if he's hanging by a thread, I think there's still a chance for Eddie Alvarez. Eddie Alvarez is a master of comebacks. If you guys are not familiar with Eddie Alvarez, go watch his Bellator fights. Go watch his other fights. This guy is the master of comebacks. He's a brilliant human being. He's a brilliant fighter. He will find a way to win, in my opinion, unless he gets knocked out cold. That's the only way I think Conor wins. I doubt when Conor wins the decision. I give that like 10%, 5% chance. If the fight goes to the decision, it's going to be an Eddie Alvarez fight. Steve McQueen, Eddie submits him in the first round. I doubt he even trades. That would be a wise choice. Brian Mitchell, why are people acting like Conor doesn't get gassed out really quick? Alvarez KO round 3. That is also a very popular upvoted comment. People think that Conor McGregor gasses. Benoit St. Laurent, considering that the mental game is very important in Conor's strategy and that Alvarez doesn't seem intimidated, do you think that Eddie has a shot? Or that Conor's striking skills outmatch Eddie Alvarez's wrestling background? You're saying here that Eddie Alvarez didn't get intimidated, and then you're asking me if he has a shot. Absolutely has a shot. Let's not forget, okay? First of all, Eddie Alvarez, he comes from Philadelphia. Okay, now that means two things. If you guys know Philadelphia, if you've ever been to Philadelphia, it means two things. One, you know how to box, okay? There's a boxing gym on every corner of Philadelphia. Rocky was shot in Philadelphia. Okay, lots of great boxers come from Philadelphia. Philadelphia is home to boxing. Okay, Philadelphia, lots of great boxers. If you grew up in Philadelphia, and I'm sure he grew up in the boxing gyms, you've seen great punchers, all sorts of great punchers, like McGregor, okay? Higher, more caliber. Phenomenal punchers, guys with knockout power, guys with incredible stamina, guys with incredible speed. You've seen it. So Eddie Alvarez is a tremendous, tremendous boxer. He's a very seasoned boxer. If I had one critique for him, is his Muay Thai is lagging. He's lost to Muay Thai attacks. You know, Donald Cerrone showed that with the knees to the body, the kicks. Eddie Alvarez was prey to the Muay Thai attacks. Now he's facing somebody who does a lot of Taekwondo attacks, a lot of karate attacks. Let's see how he deals with that. I think it will be a first he sees that kind of style. But he's seen the punching of McGregor. I mean, McGregor's a great puncher. He's a phenomenal puncher. The Irish know how to box as well. Okay, I mean, that's known. We know there's a lot of great boxing gyms in Ireland. There's a lot of great punchers. The Irish are punchers. The Irish are punchers, absolutely. They've both seen super high caliber boxing. So that's not a worry, okay? They've seen each other. That's not the problem. What you're asking me is, can he stop the wrestling now? That's where the money is, right? We're all assuming that Eddie Alvarez is going to wrestle. It's the safest path. But you're telling me about the mental game. The second thing you should know about Philly is everybody's very tough. If you go to New York, if you go to Jersey, if you go to Philly, if you go in that area, everybody is super tough. People are tough. I mean, you obviously never been in that area. I don't think Eddie Alvarez is the least bit intimidated. If Eddie Alvarez showed any fear, he would go back home and get smacked around. Okay, he would get smacked around by his wife. He gets smacked around by his friends. The culture in Philadelphia is a tough culture. They're tough people. You don't show weakness. You don't have fear. You get eaten alive. If you have fear, I go to train in New York quite often. I train at the Hensel Gracie Academy. I train with John Denahar. I go there a lot. They're very, very, very tough people. Now, the Irish are tough. The Philadelphians are tough. They're just tough people. I don't think Eddie Alvarez has a shred of fear. You know, he's going to get nervous like every other human being and this and that, but these two guys are not scared of each other. Now, any signs of fear, I don't think is true. Some people wrote me that you think, they think Eddie Alvarez is scared. He ain't scared. I'm telling you, he's not scared. He's been in too many dog fights. He's been in too many big fights fighting dangerous guys. McGregor's a dangerous guy, but he ain't nothing new. You gotta go visit Philly and you'll get the idea. Okay, guys, I gotta round this up right now. We're getting close. Kata KTA, do you think Eddie is just too big in size for the Joker? I think the clown hasn't fought a large guy like RDA or Eddie, and that generally the guys at 155 are just too big for him. Nate was a big 170, but he's a small 155er compared to RDA and Eddie. Prediction, Eddie ground and pounds the Joker to TKO late in round 2. A nice double leg takedown and an easy full mount, slicing him like butter. Nate was much bigger than Conor, but I get what you're saying. I think what you mean is Nate is softer physically. Nate carries an extra layer of fat on him, and he's got less muscle than an RDA and an Eddie Alvarez. I would say he's less explosive than an RDA and an Alvarez, and I totally agree with you. Nate is very tough, he's very skilled, but physically, athletically, I agree with you. And I don't think it's a size. If you put them on the scale, I don't think he's smaller than RDA and Eddie. I think Eddie and RDA are just more trimmed. They're more solid. They're more muscle than fat. They're more explosive athletes than they are endurance athletes. So if you're trying to say that they're greater athletes, they're more solid than Nate, I would agree with you. And I agree with you that McGregor's gonna have trouble. He's never seen a solid guy like Eddie Alvarez. The 145ers are not as athletic and powerful as the 155ers. They're not as thick, as strong, as athletic. I get what you're saying. But Nate was big, but it's not the same size. It's not the same thing, you know. Nate is an endurance athlete. It's totally different than fighting a power athlete. Now, Eddie Alvarez, RDA, much higher power output in my opinion. They're more fast twitch. I agree with what you're saying. You have a great point there, even though I don't think you worded it properly. It's not a question of size; it's a question of athleticism, the type of athlete they are, and I think that's going to be a problem for Conor McGregor. Now, I don't want to sound like I think Conor McGregor is going to get destroyed. I don't want to sound like that. I think he has a great chance in round 1 and 2. He's very accurate, and he's got that deadly left, and he's been preparing that left hand to be effective against anyone. He said it. You know, I've been fighting guys like Eddie Alvarez for so many years. He has. I mean, he's done well against shorter fighters. I love the fact of Conor McGregor, when he has the reach advantage, I love the fight for him. I think he uses his reach really well. Even when he didn't have the reach advantage against Nate, he used his reach really well, even when he had deficit. But when he has a reach advantage, he's very hard to deal with. He's technically smart. I think he has a great chance in round 1 and 2. But the wrestling is just... And it remains to be seen. I think Eddie Alvarez wins this fight. Tristan Adam, he tried to be hard, but I saw fear in Eddie Alvarez's eyes during the confrontation. What do you think? And Conor will win the first round by knockout because he's the better boxer and warrior. Still Diaz brothers, best warriors. Thank you for your great work and peace and love. Tristan Adam, thank you for your message. I don't agree with you. I just basically answered your question. Eddie Alvarez is not scared at all. If he was scared, I think everybody in his neighborhood would step on him and curse him. Okay, in Philadelphia, you don't show fear. These guys, they're not going to get intimidated. Is he a better boxer than Eddie Alvarez? It remains to be seen. They're both high-quality boxers. Very different styles, but both high-quality boxers. Conor wins in first round knockout. Very possible. Marouche has... What is George's... This will be the last one, guys. I'm over time. What is George's prediction? He will be right anyways. Ha ha ha. I don't know actually. I might ask George in the gym. I might do another little video asking George's opinion on this fight. I might actually ask a bunch of people. Maybe I'll try to get that. I didn't ask George what he thinks about this fight. I'm actually curious myself, so I'll try to get that to you guys. I'll see what George says. That'll be the last one, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please like, share, and comment as always. Special thank you to my sponsors as always, Quest Nutrition, Reebok, and TimTam.tech. Thank you for making these episodes possible. I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as I am, and I will see you all in the next episode.